So today's topic is going to be just a minor one, somewhat difficult one to get into. It's a discussion around a book that most people find to be somewhat controversial. A lot of people have differing opinions on it. I'm currently waiting um for some chicken fillet thing to come out the mic to come out the oven. So I thought I'd take the opportunity to actually make this video at this present moment in time. So it takes a while. I'm not too sure. It's never easy actually gauging what temperature to heat these fillets at, but I think it's a decent enough temperature to be able to get through the majority of this video. Yeah. So, oh shit. No, actually, no. I'm gonna be wait. Yeah, no, I had to make a cup of coffee. But anyway, a cup of tea. Sorry, but then anyway, at the same time, I think that the book itself is highly controversial, but it's very interesting. The things that are contained within it, and you hear a lot of different things from people. The book is the 48 Laws of Power, right, by Robert Greene. And I feel that people that criticize this book for being somewhat deceitful are people that don't actually understand it. And again, at the same time, they're actually utilizing a mechanism to dissuade you from gaining influence from this particular from the content of the actual book itself. And I think Robert Greene also mentions this in the preface. Yeah, he says this in the preface somewhere. Yeah, no, actually, I can't find a particular section. But then again, at the same time, I'm sure he mentions it somewhere in there. But then again, at the same time, I feel that the book itself is not actually snaky. And I have had friends who have actually said that in the past. But then when I looked at the behavior of those friends and evaluated the intended outcome for their situation, it turned out to be actually quite, you know, it turned out to actually be quite interesting because when I read the book further, I actually came to understand that actually, people employ these mechanisms of power, but they assume that you don't have an awareness of it, so they use that to their particular advantage. But unfortunately, because if it takes a lot of time for one to gain particular experiences, whereas if you learn from others, you gain those experiences without having to necessarily endure as much hardship as they did in learning the lesson. And in though it's impossible to be without hardship, right? Regardless if someone teaches you something or not, you're still gonna have to endure some sense of hardship to gain your goal, to gain whatever it is that you are attempting to gain out of a particular situation. But I think that the book itself outlines the necessity. For me, I don't find it snaky because or deceitful, because I feel that the book gives one an understanding of not only historical context at a level of detail that's uncommon in our environment. Well, not this current environment, definitely common to this particular type of environment, and it's definitely one thing that's catered to um, within the West, and it's probably one of the reasons why black people suffered a lot within the slavery period, because they weren't aware of these particular laws and rules, and they probably, I mean, in engaging with the civilized, well, not the civilized, but with the Western society, it's just that they didn't actually take into consideration the necessity of these laws, and they assumed that the people would have a basic understanding of the protocols and procedures within their particular environment, which would have been more um, less cunning and more open, as opposed to the other side. So that's definitely one of the reasons why that might have turned out the way that it has. But the book itself doesn't only focus on the Western side of things. It focuses on aspect, because I think mentioning the black thing, it's quite difficult, and the slavery thing is quite difficult to put into terms. But again, at the same time, because the book itself doesn't just cover the Western side, it also covers aspects of China. And it's not to say that the and parts of India maybe may do different. That covers parts from different parts of the globe. The stories from there, and events that brought about those civilizations. So I think that's definitely one of the key fundamental things there. So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. In my viewpoint, the book itself definitely covers different aspects. So it's not only specific. Let's not say that this is just Western, but it's more so Game of Thrones type of mentality where, you know, where the strategy you take and the way you behave could ultimately determine your lifestyle. Could also to determine um you, full stop to your life and end to it. And which is quite detrimental. But for me, I find the benefits in the book to be that they give me the advantage to be able to effectively analyze and understand people. And not only that, understand aspects of their behavior from a common base point. And also, it enables me to be able to treat people I love and care about in a reasonable standard, based on my understanding of the laws and how to utilize those laws to bring about a benefit and how I am treating them and how I'm approaching them. It gives me also awareness of how not to be a dick, how not to be a prick. Because sometimes, if you don't, my nails, I know you cut them. If you don't have that ideology in your mental space, it becomes detrimental, right? You could behave in ways that are actually not fundamentally conducive to the people you love without the awareness, because you haven't learned, right, that thing there might not be the best way to do it, just based on experience. Or maybe you might have not been taught that growing up and things of that nature. So that's definitely one of the things. It helps fill in the gaps of missing knowledge relating to how to behave and how to operate within societal concerns. So I use it to the benefit of the ones that I care about, and understanding how to treat them better and how to be a better human being, just for the in general in regards to the society I abide in, and in the general world. And also it helps me cater to those who are actually less fortunate in coming across these laws and these books, because books sometimes are difficult to come across, especially good ones. So I think that that's definitely fundamental for the most part. um, Definitely fundamental for the most part. So yeah, so some people might not have that understanding, they might not have that knowledge, and in that space of beingness, I feel that the damn man, my hair's fucking fudgeries, man. Like, how can that be like light coming out of there like that, man? It's weird. Yeah, man. Like, I think it's definitely fundamental. It's like, Jesus Christ, man. Yeah. So ultimately, it's fundamental in actually ensuring that. Yeah, I know it looks messy, but fuck it. For the time being, anyway. Yeah. So it's actually fundamental in ensuring that those that actually don't have the laws, but who place their trust in me, I'm able to cater to them accordingly, and also ensure that they're not abused, they're not taken advantage of, or they're not, or their skill set, or the things that makes them good, amazing human beings is not actually overshadowed due to their lack of understanding, or the lack of implementation of these laws and rule sets. And I think most of it is stuff that would make sense, but you wouldn't think of it and you wouldn't have an awareness of it. It's only when you actually evaluate it and you understand it that's when it makes sense, right? So I'm very grateful for that, and that's how I basically understand it. Because also I think, and it's sad as well, right? Because for me also, right, like I'm like, a lot of people are like, yeah, Egypt this, Egypt that, especially amongst black people, they look at it as a pillar of hope and salvation, that it'll be something that they'll be that will give them power. All they want is power over people, right? And those type of people that say that. But then I'm like, you know what? If people were in Egypt, these people, a lot of black people will get murdered today, right? They'll get it'll be crazy. They won't be open arms in a sense. There'll definitely be a lot of you know I do not describe it because I think that what people don't actually understand is the mindset and principles that were inherent in that environment, and the people had been brought up to be in a specific way to be good, honorable human beings. You know, so those things were fundamental, whereas people today might not actually abide or have that those rule sets in place. So while they imagine it as a sort of safe haven where they can do whatever they want and look down on people, etc., they won't actually have that in their particular viewpoint. In my particular thought process. So yeah, and it's like a thing of and it's like a thing of like yeah, of course they respected life, but be careful about that terminology when you use that, because again at the same time I think that a lot of the things that actually happened there was like it's crazy. It's not the way that you'd imagine it, and you would have to uplift yourself to a specific level of standard to actually gain level of respect in that environment. And the standard that you have to uphold yourself is more so beyond just the physical nature, but aspects of you know understanding balance and things of there was a lot basically. um that's that. And I think as well, like a lot of people as well in today's society, they use that whole blackness thing as a thing to say, oh yeah, police or people like that are being mean to us because we're black, da 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 da. Like, who knows, maybe a black person being shot, that was just a contract being put down by another. Because to me, the way that I look at it, yeah, I'm like, I'm black too, right? So and I know that most of these people are out there in the hoods actually killing other black people, and then they come and then they actually complain about these things like, oh yeah, well, police are being thingy, da 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 da. You don't know if that's a contract that's been put there, an execution contract by another black individual who might have a higher level of capability than those individuals who are actually running around and causing random madnesses. And there's reasons behind things that we don't understand. Like, yes, probably some people may be doing things out of some particular regard. If they start cloning white people, then it's crazy, because if they start cloning police officers, yeah, these police officers will be crazy because of what, especially the white ones, because of what's encoded in their DNA and memory, right? So you gotta be careful about that. But that's the point. The point I'm trying to make is that, like, a lot of the time, a lot of people be saying things like that, whereas they're actually doing worse to the black community than they're actually, like, damaging the community in a different way that's less noticeable, because a lot of people will be sleeping and blah 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 blah. For me, I just look at it and just say, nigga, I'm black too, man. So if that's just the way that I look at it. It's like, I'm black too, so whatever it is. And that's the same way that the Egypt people probably look at, or like ancient Egypt people would just be like, yeah, nigga, we're black too, man. We're black too, man. And regarding opportunities, you may not have had the same opportunities growing up, but in Egypt, in most scenarios, you'll be judged in that particular fashion, and to even be brought to judgment, you have to have had specific opportunities and be in a specific level of knowledge regarding that. And so, for example, like, let's say if, for example, one had a capability to do a virus or whatever the case may be, right? And I'm like doing it, or like, and I have particular bad experiences or whatever, and I'm doing it to a set of black people. The point there is that, there's a reason, and like I'm saying, it's a thing that I'm black too. And if you abuse the thing, right? If you have some type of power, whether it be physical, social, or whatever the case may be, and you use that to abuse whatever it is that another black person has done, then why is it that black person can't then take the precautions and steps necessary to deal with you accordingly, right? To deal with you accordingly in the right manner, right? Like, why is it that that can't happen? Hmm? So that's my viewpoint, right? When you remove the race thing, and I think that when you do that, people lose a lot of the power that they have, and you can see it sometimes. But again, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's important to have these insights. It's important to understand these things, because then if you don't, then you just really meet people who are creatures, um, and that's ultimately fine. So that's my viewpoint, and I think that this book really just helps shape light and bring knowledge to people that they need to also interact with other races in a meaningful and reasonable way. If you want to favor aspects of your own race, right? Let's see, what law is this? Is this a law? Is this uh, law 17? Pretty unpredictability. But yeah, man, that's my basic viewpoint, and I do want better for those communities. But I think that until we get together and actually get to the level where we can actually access knowledge and information in a reasonable fashion, and we create the right type of role models for kids to look up to, whether it be whatever is exciting, whatever is not exciting. That's the ultimate steps, because a lot of the stuff that in today's society would be considered illegal, such as mind control. So in Egypt, a lot of the stuff would be happening, like mind control for kids, so that they grow up in the right fashion, so that they're directed in the right way, and then initiate the kids at a point in time when they grow up into the process in which has been used to cultivate them, in the hopes that hopefully they would understand that as well. But that's just the environment and the world that we live in. And so I believe that having access to definitely this content would help anybody, in whatever industry and in whatever it is that they attempt to do, because it's fundamental to make it in this world, especially in these Hollywood settings and things like that, man. Some people make it and some people don't, and the fundamental difference there is who understands the laws of what's going on, and how to utilize them to their advantage. And that's my viewpoint. When people, for me, the thing about the hatred thing, right, the racism and the hate and stuff, I can't do that because I'm self-aware. So I can't pretend to myself, and it's very difficult to do. It's very difficult to pretend to oneself regarding aspects of their own reality and behavior, because it's in your mind. And if you start lying to yourself, if you start, deceiving yourself into believing one thing or another, you definitely come to find that, you're going down the wrong path there. So I can't do that personally. So I have to always take the right route in the decisions and choices that I make. And yeah, and that's somewhat unfortunate to some degree. Um, but that's basically it, man. And I'm not like one of those people that always takes the easy road. And like I said before, we came to an agreement. That agreement is called society. Because, for example, if somebody was to take the law into their own hands and just like body massacre loads of people, and that's where this Illuminati shit comes from, because we can, right? So some people can, and if they were to do so, it'll be said, it'll be uncalled for, it'll be unfair, it'll be all sorts of nonsense, right? But no, we came to an agreement. We call that agreement society, and we abide to it, and we operate within the principles of that society, of those rules set. And if something is wrong or something is dealt with unfairly, you can always pursue it and deal with it accordingly. So that's my viewpoint. Because a lot of us would just, if we had to take the law into our own hands, would just body a lot of people, just as many as you can, would probably be the stance we'd usually take. But no, because we came to an agreement. We came to an understanding in society to reduce bloodshed, and to advance ourselves consciously, because we are conscious beings. We're not animals, right? Yeah, that's pretty much it, really. And I just want that to sort of give that out, and sort of have that insight, and give my feedback on the understanding of the book, and how it's not a deceitful book. but one that actually brings light and knowledge, that actually brings light and knowledge to people. So I hope you enjoyed this, and yeah, thanks for watching.